Okay, guys, we are going live. There's going to be a lot of issues as we go through this. I am testing out software, trying to get my voice matched with the video, and that's problem we had last night. So this is a new test. So what I'm going to do, the other night we had a meetup in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I tried to record it. It didn't go well. I tried to stream it. So I'm going to do some testing to see if my video and audio is lined up. So I apologize. I record it. It didn't go well. I tried to stream it. So I'm going to do some testing to see if my video... It looks pretty good. Okay, we are going to continue. So we had 60 plus people. And so the content is better than watching me on this. So I'm going to switch it around so the content is the big screen a little bit. But we had 60 people at Jonathan's restaurant. That is a great little greasy spoon here in town. And people were begging for this content. I tried to stream it, just didn't work. So let's, again, content is better than the actual production. And I apologize if my lips and the audio does not sync up. I'm trying my best. So here, let's go into it. The first thing I showed everyone was my sponsors. And there we go. There's some sponsors. These people actually help make our meetup in Charlotte happen. And so you can see the Syria water filters, Go Sun, Tack Bar, Prepper Academy, which I own, Carolina Survival, Carolina Preparedness or Survival and Preparedness Academy. I own that as well. Mountain Retreat Realty. They help people find properties if you're looking for a retreat. Here's one of our local partners right here, a good friend of mine. It's a local gun shop here in Charlotte. Good people. So these are going through every single slide that I did Thursday night. One thing I do to support myself to bring you guys, 9 meetups in the Carolinas is I sell legacy food. I sell it at a good price. So, buy my food. Also, I have a radio show live on Friday nights on Prepper Broadcasting. There's the URL. It's Prepper Broadcasting Network. It's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, Kyle and I do the show. Funny, entertaining, boring. You don't get to see me. But anyway, check it out. One thing I do want to say is that we actually have added cities to this. Let's see here. So what I have is the Carolina Prepper Network, which is a group of meetups in the Carolinas where I have different leaders in each of the areas that put on meetup groups so people can sit face to face across from each other, learn, different topics. Sometimes it's ham radio, sometimes it's canning, sometimes it's bug out bags, the whole variety. So every month we get together, and we meet in all the different cities, or a lot of different cities in Charlotte, Greensboro. You can see where the cities are. Actually, let me just switch over to this right here, so it's better for you to see because that was tiny there. So you can see Asheville, Greensboro, Charlotte, Raleigh, Hickory, Columbia, Greenville, Myrtle Beach, and Wilmington. We're getting ready to add Fayetteville. And so there are meetups in these areas so people can meet each other. And that is very key as you'll get into the slideshow. One other thing, if you're a part of the Carolina Preppers Network, we actually have a forum that we go and discuss different things. There's the URL. I have to approve you. And to be a part of this, we do ask that you're in the Carolinas. This is kind of a local kind of thing. So we're trying to build, the local group in the Carolinas. If you want to do Texas or whatever, have at it. I can help you. Let me know. One of the things as a group we did was we went to prepper camp. And so I showed a slide of prepper camp. We had hundreds of people from the Carolina Preppers Network. Had a good time. It was up in Saluda. Jane and Rick Austin, Survivor Jane, they put it on. It was a good time. So the next slide I went to, but when we were up there is when we had a gas shortage in eastern United States. So what do all the preppers do when they hear a gas shortage? They all go get gas. So what happened was, by the time I got a chance to leave and others, all the preppers went out and got all the gas within like 15 miles. And so it was kind of weird there was no gas anywhere around there because preppers wanted to fill their cans up. And I understand. I had enough. I actually filled up right before I got there, so I was good. So what I did next was go into just a quick little tutorial on what to do and how to store gas. So as you can see here on the screen, you need to always keep your tank half full. Always, always, always. So if it gets a little bit right there at half, go fill it up. You need to buy some gas containers. I showed the different types of gas containers that would work. You also need to buy some PRI-G or PRI-D. The G's for gasoline, D's for diesel. You don't want to mix them. But if you got gasoline, you pour this additive into your can, put your gas in, you seal the can up, and you never want to open that can again until you use it. It will actually, your gas will go bad if you do that. So just leave it in the can. The can will expand over time. It will shrink over time. You can store it a year easy. And I put in here, recycle your gas every year, but it stores with the PRI-G. A year is no problem whatsoever. Diesel actually stores longer. So, and also I have on there is a little siphon. If you can see the little siphon there, because you may need to borrow. You need to maybe get the gas into your into your tank. Or you might not have a vehicle, or you find an abandoned vehicle that you can maybe borrow their gas. So I went through that. The next slide was, a text I got earlier that day that was hilarious. A friend of mine's trying to use some technology. And he texted me this. He goes, I'll get notifications of the apocalypse 10 minutes after I'm dead. So he was having problems with his notifications on one of the apps that we use in the Carolina Preppers Network, which is an app called Signal. It's an encrypted text messaging. It's made by Whisper. I recommend that to everyone. People, eyes are always watching, and this app prevents eyes from watching when it comes to text messaging and encrypted calls as well. So I would I recommend everyone use that app. Matter of fact, Eric Snowden also recommends everyone use that app. So anyway, that was a funny text that I got. Now the first part of this presentation, I put this slide up because you just don't know exactly where everyone's coming from in this group. And so there is some religious content that is coming. And I do not apologize. I'm going to connect some dots for you, I hope. So, and this is kind of the part I wanted everyone to see. Because if you've noticed, in all the issues that are going on for hundreds and hundreds of years, well, there's always been issues in this area. But these countries are always mentioned, and there's always, the Islamic nation, there's always Israel. Everyone hates Israel, Iraq and Iran, Russia, Turkey, China. These are big concerns. Well, there's a reason they're big concerns. And so sometimes when you see the news, if you're not a Christian like I am, you watch the news and you see things different than I watch the news. Trust me. And I'm going to go through this, and you'll go, huh. If you're not a believer or don't know end time prophecy or end time, like Revelation, Ezekiel, Daniel in the Bible, I'm going to explain to you why a Christian that knows end times prophecy, why we look at it different than other people. We do, and you will see why. Because I believe everything in the Bible is truth, and that the end is explained in the Bible. And so so let's go through that. This is the meat. This is what I want everyone to catch. If you don't believe what I believe, that's fine, because I'm actually going to talk about the Islamic nation and some of their beliefs and how they kind of tie into what's going to happen in the end times with the Christian beliefs. So anyway, let's get started. So in the Bible, it talks about 3 wars. Now, I am not a Bible scholar, but I have studied end times for 25 years. But this is what I have come up with. I feel in my heart and with my studies and the people I've learned under, this is fact. You may think different. The end of days means the period right before the end. Simple. The Bible talks about there's going to be 3 wars. It doesn't mention each war, but it does tell us an interesting fact on the 3rd war. The first war, there in World War I that we had, was 8.2 million people died. They thought that was the worst. I mean, that's horrific, without a doubt. World War II, 52 million people died. The Bible says there is going to be a World War III. And this is the one that kind of starts the timeline, we'll say, for the end of times. And we'll get in for the end of days, and we'll get to that. But World War III, it says in the Bible, matter of fact, it says in Revelation 9:15, and it says the 4 angels were loosened, and they were prepared for an hour, a day, and a month. In a year, that comes out to about 13 months if you do the calculations on that. And a third of mankind on earth will die. That is 2 billion people. Now, if you do some research, and I really don't get into this, but it does say there's going to be a war and a third of the people are going to die. That is over 2 billion people. In this war, it describes fire coming from heaven. It talks about grass, everything being, it describes nuclear war in detail. And as a believer, this is the next event to happen. There's some other, but in prophecy, this is the next event that's going to happen, is World War III. And the Bible, if you study that out, it's a World War III because it's the 3rd major war it talks about in the Bible, and a third of the people. That's 2 billion people. So, some interesting things it tells us. Of course, we think it's nuclear war because of the way it's described. The way they described it in the biblical days, they would not have a clue of what it would have been. But today, with the technology, with the weapon systems we have, we 100% believe it's nuclear war. It's about the only thing it could be. The only other thing it could be is God bringing down hailstones to kill people. And we don't believe that's it at all. And it also tells us in Revelation 9:13 where it's going to start. Matter of fact, it mentions the river and the banks it's going to start on. It's going to start on the Euphrates River. There's been some conflicts there for 20, 30, for a long time on the Euphrates River. And that's where it says the Spirit's released from the Euphrates River. So we're going to look at a map and see what countries are on the Euphrates River. Who will fight, in World War III. I feel the Bible's pretty clear about this as well. We're not going to talk, we're going to mention countries, but remember in biblical days, they're talking tribes. China is different size, different, India is different. We're just talking the area that the tribes were in this time. And so China is all the Islamic nations right around there, India, Russia. And also, I didn't add in here, also Europe is going to be a part of that. And so, and again, it doesn't mention the names of these particular countries, but it mentioned the tribes were these that are now countries in these areas. And so my daughter just woke up. So let's look at a map of where the Euphrates River. It starts in Turkey, goes through Syria, through Iraq, does not go through Iran. It's about 50 miles from Iran, and then goes out into the Persian Gulf. So it says that according to the Bible, there's going to be a World War III. It's going to start on this river, and the countries I mentioned are involved. And of course, Israel is in there too, because all the countries I mentioned are going against Israel. That's the war. Is pretty much all of Europe, India, China. They're going to be marching against Israel. That is the war. One thing I also want to mention is this lines up, and it's scary. It lines up with the Islamic faith as well, because our end times as believers, we're waiting for Jesus Christ to come back. And that's our end goal. Whether the Islamic nation is waiting for their, I can't pronounce it right now. They're waiting for their Savior to come back. And they are killing Christians because they believe that's how they bring their Savior back. Our Savior is going to come in and step in and save us from that at some point. So anyway, it's interesting that they do line up, but their Messiah, a lot of people believe is going to be the Antichrist in the Bible. And it from their prophecies and our prophecies, it worked perfect. So one thing I do want to, so there's two religions that cover about 80% of the world's religion that the end time prophecies line up, and theirs didn't win. So because we know how the end is going to be. So let's another interesting thing is once we know, we call that the Sixth Trumpet War, World War III. Once that happens, we know that things are very near. I believe that once that war happens, there's going to be a peace treaty signed between Israel and really the world for a 7-year peace treaty. And the Bible talks about a 7 years of peace. I believe that that's going to happen immediately after 1/3 of the Earth's population has died. The interesting thing is, as soon as that is signed, the day that is signed, we have a timeline for the entire end. I mean, down to the days, sometimes hours, and some of the events that are going to happen. Matter of fact, if we sign the covenant today, I could tell you probably the exact date that the Antichrist is going to be revealed. I can tell you the exact day the one world government is going to be in existence. And so it's kind of interesting. Once this starts, the Bible lays it out in a timeline. But we are waiting, I believe we are waiting for the Sixth Trumpet War. So when we talk about, countries attacking Israel, when we talk about the Persian Gulf War, all these wars, as believers, we're going, this is not good. The countries, and now we got Russia involved, we got Turkey involved, China, and all this nuclear talk that's going on right now in Syria, and there's Damascus, but in Syria, and Damascus is in Syria. as a believer, we're looking with our eyes going, uh-oh, is this the beginning phases of World War III? If so, I mean, you've got to. The largest war, and now, Britain has said that they will shoot down any Russian jet over Syria. Russia's threatening nuclear war. Their past president, Gorbachev, said that it is more tense today than any time he was president. And I'm like, where's the news telling us this stuff? Anyway, that's why as a Christian, we look at this and go, whoa, this is getting real. This could be it. We know there's a war going to happen there. We know it's going to be a nuclear war. We don't know when this could calm down. I have a feeling that it's pretty close. But it should be some concern. Anytime there's battles going on the Euphrates River and has some of the players that we're talking about involved, you should be concerned because there will be a nuclear war. So, there's a slide. I'm going to skip that slide because that's too controversial. So let's go down. That's pretty much my religious aspect of it. Is that as Christian, and other Christians watching, we know there's a war going to happen. We know it's going to happen from the Euphrates River. We know it's going to be nuclear. We know Russia and Turkey are going to be involved. We know Damascus is going to be, in a sense, either chemically or nuclear bombed, because it says one day that it will never be inhabited by not even one person. Even though it's destroyed, people still live there. So we know some crap's going to hit the fan there. It's in Ezekiel. So if you're Jewish and you're not looking at the New Testament, it's in Ezekiel and Daniel that this is going to happen. So the Jewish people believe this too. And then Christians like myself looking at Revelation, of course this is going to happen because it states it's going to happen. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. But that's the reason why Christians look at this a little different. And that's why we go, is this the time? So the next thing I talked about, that was kind of the meat. I just wanted to get that out there. A lot of people don't know that what we're expecting. I wanted to mention the American Redoubt. This is a place that James Rawlings, who wrote the book Patriots, great book. You need to read it. Absolutely. You need to read it twice. He started a redoubt where preppers, survivalists can go, feel safe, have land. It's a great place to bug out, in a sense. And so he started this thing called the American Redoubt. And like I said, it's for preppers, patriots. They kind of come together, build a community, and out there you can go out there and check it out. But they also created a thing called Amron. And Amron is a communication tool for preppers and survivalists to, when the crap hits the fan, for us to communicate. And so what they have is a communication SOI. It's $6. It's about 30. Well, it's about 50 pages that you can get from a download on their website. In the Carolina Prepper Network, I'm telling everybody, you got to get this. If communications is not a part of your preps, you screwed up. It's got to be a part. You got to make it a part. Reason why is information is king. And this is a way that we can communicate with each other when the crap hits the fan. Instead of starting one myself, I looked at this. This has already been initiated or introduced to the entire United States. And I'm just giving them kudos and say, you need to go download it. It's $6. You need to do it today. You need to learn how to do it. You need to learn the operations, all that. And so I'm not really doing a training video on this because they have videos. Go watch the video yourself and do it yourself. I mean, you just learn it. You need to learn it. You don't want to be breaking this manual out after the crap hits the fan trying to figure out how to communicate with someone. Because most of the time, the ham radios, you're not even going to be able to figure them out. If you don't know how to use a ham radio before the crap hits the fan, you're not going to know how to do it afterwards. It's a unique animal that takes a little bit there's a learning curve. And with this communication, you don't need your ham license. I would recommend it. Having your ham license doesn't necessarily teach you how to use a ham radio. It's really just memorizing questions. So you need to I recommend you get your ham license. Learn how to use I have, Bell Fame. There's all Bell Phone, whatever. You need to learn how to use it. And there are many brands you can buy. The one I purchased was $32. So $32 plus some accessories plus this, you're spending less than like $80, and you've got communication. So the next slide I went to, but there's the URL. Go read it, download it, watch the video. Next URL, next slide, I went over this. If you're not in a survival group, you're going to die. This is kind of my catchphrase with the Carolina Prepper Network, as I say that all the time. You're going to die. You're going to die, because you're going to die. If you don't have a group, if it's just you and your family, you cannot protect your family 24 hours a day. You've got to have multiple people. I mean, so the perfect family, I guess, would be Navy SEAL. The wife's a doctor. The teenage kid is a green thumb, can grow anything. None of them need sleep. They're superhuman. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You got to have a group. So let's say that you and your family, and the male gets shot in the leg. How is he going to protect the family? So you've got to have a group. And so I went to the next slide, which is even more interesting, because I put it in red. You got to have a group. So this is what I'm telling people in our Charlotte Meetup. You got to have a group. And so the next slide I went to is this. When you come to the meetups, again, we had, it's between 60 and 70 people at our meetup. It was packed. There's a lot of buzz. People were, I won't say they were tense, but it was a lot of energy. When you come to meetup, your number one goal is to connect. Meet other people, get to know them, have coffee with them outside of our meetup, and 20% learning. Because everything I teach, people teach on YouTube. I mean, let's get real. I teach it in my academy. I teach more in depth in my academy, but you got to be there to meet other people. That's why we always start at 6 p.m. From 6 to 7 is nothing but social hour. I bet this past week at 6 o'clock, there were 25, 30 people in the room at 6. And so at 6:30, I mean, the room was packed. That's because everybody was coming to meet people, to talk, to see old friends, to meet new people. That's how groups are formed. You don't form groups by going to your neighbors going, hey, are you guys preppers? Oh, no. And go to these are people like-minded coming because they want to learn more, possibly you. So that's important. So if there's a local meetup in your area, go. If there's not, contact me. I'll help you set one up. I'll give you presentations. I'll give you ideas on how to run it. I've been doing this for years. So next thing we went through is war is hell. In the meetup, I try to make it a little bit funny, and because we're talking about some serious stuff, so we do have a good time. But so one of the things I did was, if y'all remember, Russia this week shot 3 missiles testing, 1 from a submarine, 2 from land, testing the missiles. And so the missiles they actually shot was intercontinental ballistic missile. this is the actual missile that they shot. And so what I did is I took the missile, and you can see the URLs down there, and you can actually put this particular missile hit in your city to see what would happen with the nuclear warhead in it. And I put this over Charlotte, North Carolina, and you could see that pretty much anything in the inner yellow circle, the blue circle there, you're not going to survive that. You're just not. In the orange, you're going to have third-degree burns. But what a friend of mine pointed out, it will destroy your nerve system, so you won't even know you're dying. But that's a big area. That is huge. That one missile, they have 1,000 of them. And so, I just wanted to give people the effect of, okay, a nuclear war, if you're near a city, it's not good for you. Sure, you can have a bomb shelter. So their biggest nuclear missile. So this one you can see we have a beltway around Charlotte. It goes around, it's called 485. And that road is 60 miles exactly as it goes around Charlotte, North Carolina. So that covers, does it say how many square miles? It's a lot. It's not good. So let's go to the bigger bomb that they have. Boom. This is a 50 megaton. This is their biggest. Charlotte in that beltway is complete. There's nothing standing from that point. It's gone. And then the thermal radiation, it takes me an hour and a half to drive to Salisbury. From downtown Charlotte, it's at least an hour to Salisbury. That's an hour away from downtown Charlotte, any of them places. And that means third-degree burns, and you driving an hour. That's on the interstate. That's a huge, huge thing. And so then you got to look at, okay, are we targets? Well, Charlotte has, the city limits of Charlotte has 731,000 people. So we could be targets, absolutely. The interesting thing on this is DC is not on here, but that's got to be a target, and some of the military bases. But anyway, so I just showed these things. Another thing is we have 2 nuclear plants in Charlotte. This particular nuclear plant is off of Lake Norman. Like in Japan, if this thing was to have a cyber attack or a terrorist attack, this is kind of the effects. Sorry I didn't get the whole image on there. This is kind of the effects of that it would have on Charlotte and the surrounding area. So then I made some jokes, and we talked about old school, about how they had, in the 50s and 60s and I guess 70s, people didn't make fun too much of these because, a lot of people bought these. But in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, people just kind of think this was hilarious. It's funny that they would do this. But now it's coming back. It's not so funny anymore. So that's notice how they're dressed properly in their bunker. And then I showed this that, hey, there's really no protection above ground whatsoever. If you're in a skyscraper in the inner room, 3 stories up, you're somewhat safe, but the best way for a nuclear blast is underground. And so I went through that. And, I got links to all this, and you can just go look it up. And then the materials protect you from fallout, and just comparing the sizes. And I actually have another video on that. Went over about how to build a quick fallout shelter. I'm not digging a hole today, but some people may. So here's the link. There's a story I wanted everyone to read as a survivor about the collapse. There's the URL. You can pause it, type it out. And then we talked about some of the information where I got for the fallout shelters and all that is right there. You can pause it. Some more links. People that I say you must follow. Viking Preparedness, he's on YouTube. Southern Prepper 1 on YouTube. And a website called Zero Hedge. These are the two podcasts or video or bloggers, I guess. Every video that Southern Prepper 1 has, you need to watch. Every single one of them. Great information. Viking Preparedness, he has a biblical perspective on what's going on. So if you don't like that, you still need to tune in, but I'm not going to make you. Zero Hedge just got some good news of what's going on. Let's see what else here we need to go through. I went through. I'm not going to go through this. Again, go read it. I didn't want this video to be too long, but you can. I went on how to survive a nuclear attack, food, water, storage. Of course, I sell Legacy. I don't know if I said that. Cellular water filters, which is one of my sponsors. You need to have water. Here's the material list. I will go over this. So if you're going to make a room or protect yourself, if a nuclear blast or something happens, you need 8 foot of wood to protect yourself, or 22 feet of snow. Ice, dirt, about 3.3 feet. So, that's interesting. Again, I have links to all that information. Have links to radiation. I don't have a Geiger counter. It's interesting. As I was speaking about this, I'm like, this is so weird to talk about nuclear, protect yourself from this. But you know what? I have potassium iodine tablets in all my bags, and so apparently I've thought about it. Just never really. I've planned for it, but never really thought about it. Pretty much if you get a lot of radiation, you're going to die. Here's about the potassium iodine. Some other things you can use. There are some natural herbs that a lady at our group brought up that you could. I don't remember what they were. And then we went over our sponsors again, and that was kind of our meeting. It was a buzz. We had a great time. I'm sorry this didn't stream. We will get this right next time so we can stream this. And I do want to remind everyone, Kyle and I do a show on the Prepper Broadcasting Network. Next week is going to be awesome. It's Alan Kay from Alone, Season 1. He's the winner of the Alone. I think that was History Network. He won it. Amazing fella. Met him at Prepper Camp. He's going to be on our show next week, the 21st. This past one was on the Prepper Mindset. And you can go to the URLs down at the bottom, prepperbroadcasting.com/Prepping Academy. If you go Friday night, it'll be on the front page. They have one live show a night. Ours is on Friday night, 9 p.m. And we record it right here in my office. And our producer, we don't even know who he is, actually. G-Man, I don't know. But anyway, join us and go listen. What happens after the live show, it goes into a podcast the next day, and then you can listen to it on the podcast. You have to go to the Prepper Broadcasting Network. And since they have one live show a day, we're the 7th show. And soon I'll have my own iTunes and Stitcher under the Prepping Academy, so it'll just list hours. So much to do, so little time. But go check us out. If you're in the Carolinas, you join our forum. We have unbelievable conversation there. And guys, thanks a lot for joining me. If you're in the Carolinas, hey, join one of our meetups. But guys, thank you for your time. I hope the audio and video was synced on this, and that's it, I guess. We'll see you guys later. Bye.